but thanks for joining us. Jonathan, always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you all too.
Sarah, thanks for leading us as always. Did you just have the town hall before this?
We did.
How'd that
Um,
go?
it was good. We had a very um, interesting town hall. We had a guest um, who is interested in um, featuring a snapshot of e-NABLE in a book that he's
I
publishing.
think I saw that email come through the intake. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
So we got to hear a little bit more about his work. Um, but
Sounds really
uh,
interesting.
the recording has started, so.
Great. So, Tom, thanks for joining us too. Tom, I think you've come to these before. Your name sounds familiar.
Oh,
And Jonathan, always fun to geek out and hear about what you've been up to.
Absolutely.
Sorry, a little trouble with the microphone, but yes, I've been for a couple. I left the railroad in May, and I was hoping to jump right in, but got caught up putting up a new fence, water heater, stuff in the yard. So
Yep.
trying to get all that done.
And yeah, get back to the printers.
Exactly.
So this semester, we're using e-NABLE again in our Intro to Engineering, Intro to Design Methodology course. I'm not teaching this semester. Professor Jonathan Crones will be teaching, and I'll teach it in the spring. And we're pivoting a little bit. I think we're mixing up some different projects. But one of the things that we want to do is this bias towards using design to leave the world better than you found it. The design spine of applying design to repair the world in some way. So we're still really interested in using e-NABLE as a documentation and open source hardware example in that class. More than adapting hands for people, it's about reading from the open source community and contributing back to the open source community. But we do end up producing a bunch of hands throughout the semester, so I've been looking for groups to send them to. And in the last year, we've had a few groups that we've been able to mail our student work to. So the output we were using Phoenix V3s, we moved to Phoenix V2s because the students can fit them to themselves a little better. The bridge under the hand is a little easier for someone with a normal upper limb appendage to grip into without a limb difference. But you can still mold a base plate to it. It's the one where the base plate isn't like part of the print. So if anyone watches this and wants some, I still have probably 10 or a dozen of those assembled that just need new braces rubber bands, because those rubber bands really only last a couple weeks when they're in demo mode. And we're also using the Makers Making Change website as one of our find cool open source stuff to fabricate. Rather than just going on Thingiverse and saying remix fun designs that adapt, make an iPhone holder or something, we'd rather make open source assistive technology or that bias towards making things that might be helpful or understanding people's problems. So that's our current use case. Jonathan, I know you're always doing exciting things. Any new machines or technology on your horizon?
So yeah, actually, I started using this new material. It's called PET, or no, sorry, PPS carbon fiber. So this was actually one of my first prints I made with it.
Beautiful.
It's a prototype vehicle part. But it's got this really crazy, so it looks kind of like nylon. It's nothing special, but when you drop it, it sounds like an alloy of some sort.
Oh, it makes like a ping.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but
Can't hear
it
it, but I see
sounds
it.
like aluminum.
I see that Polymaker has it as fiber on.
Yeah, that's what this one is.
Oh, cool. I'll put that link in the chat for folks. Really cool. So after we talked last, I went out and bought a bunch of different performance materials that I have waiting to test. And part of that was getting the new K2 Plus up that I can get way hotter in the chamber and way hotter in the nozzle with. So we've got 3 of those now that we're running with a bunch of more exotic materials.
Nice.
We're pretty much a PLA shop for the open to the public stuff. But then we've got some backroom machines set up for more advanced materials. We did that for throughput. We didn't want to have to repair machines that are being used by like a couple hundred people every week. But now that we've got these like nice heated chambers in the back, I'll definitely put this on my list of stuff to try. What's your use
Yeah.
case for this? Is it the two thing on the gears can take more force?
So this one, that's actually for grip on the outside of it.
Cool.
But the material itself is high heat resistance, so
Yep.
it shouldn't deform with heat. I don't remember what the numbers are, but I did a couple tests of like hanging some parts in our powder coating oven,
Cool.
and it is too hot for the main part of the oven, but if I wanted to print off like a thermocouple attachment for the
Yep.
exit of it or something, it would be able to do that. So
That's
that was
really
kind of
cool.
my test, is to see if it could handle that. But unfortunately, it deforms a little too much.
Now I see that you need to print at 310 to 350 C and you need a bed temperature of 80 to 90 C. What hardware are you printing that on?
So I am printing this on a Creality K1 Max.
Nice. Pushed
It
all the way to
is,
its limit.
yeah, so I rooted it so that I could push the
Yep.
software limit up. It's got an aftermarket extruder. It has like passive chamber heating with some bed fans and stuff like that. So it's kind of a far from stock at this point.
Yep. That's cool. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
I've
that's
been
about the limit of what you can get one of those chambers to also.
mhm. Yeah, so I've been printing with it at 320 at the extruder, because that's as
Nice.
high as the I could get it without it airing out.
Yep. That's really cool. Always like to see these machines modded and pushed to their limits. We have a project on one of my students' workers' plates working on our team to take an old Maker Gear M2 and add a bunch of Voron parts to like max that thing
Okay.
out. The linear rail
Sure.
system on that is so solid. It's one of the best built gantries I think ever. And it's just been languishing. So we want to put like a modern board with clipper on it. We have a whole build sheet. I think we've got most of it sitting next to the machine now, and so that's one of our fall projects, is to get like one of our Frankenstein machines
Mhm.
pushed a little further.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I want to build my next printer too. So
Hmm.
like you said, I have a couple Morons.
What do you think of that low cost? There's like the $500, $600 Voron everywhere now. It gets you into the Voron ecosystem, and you could put a lot of those upgrades on.
Is that like the Soval
The
SD,
Soval one,
or
yeah.
I've heard
Yep.
some good stuff. I've heard some people having issues with them too.
We've had
I
a couple
think
of other
there's
plastic parts break. We got one to test out, and you basically need to retrofit a lot of it.
yeah, yep. Yeah, I saw
But
another one. It was a 600 by 600
ooh,
um Physetic Venture XL. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I put the link to the Soval in there. And again, I think it does get you in and into the Boron ecosystem for a relatively low time cost and dollar cost. But then you're talking about this Venture XL. Oh, $2,000, not bad. And not a lot of
Yeah,
Z, but a huge XY.
it's ginormous.
I'll put that into the chat too. Very cool. That's actually really interesting. We do a lot of material culture prints, and we've always had trouble with the large print bed printers. We just can't keep them stood up that long or calibrated well. But always interested if there's a emerging one that we should try out.
Yeah,
That's very cool. I'm going to send this to my team to look at.
but I think for my next printer, I started designing one. It's a Voron base with a bunch of CNC parts and an actively heated chamber.
Cool.
Um, there have been people that can print like Peak and Ultim and stuff like that, which is
Yep.
what I'd like to be able to do, but
Yeah.
I don't really have a use case for it either. So Maybe it's just research for my own purposes at this point.
Yep. I still think for almost everyone starting out, the bamboos are just so solid right now. We're a Prusa site because we want to teach the Prusa Slicer software and have like a standard of entry. So we've got an army of those as our first tier. But we've got more and more, like when we're doing backroom production jobs on a deadline, we can just get it done so nicely with the bamboos. Although the first competitor I've seen that we haven't had a break yet, so I haven't had to do a major repair, but that K2 Plus has been like a really good dollar value to just be a production machine.
Did you guys end up getting any of those Century carbons?
No, we didn't yet, but it's on our wish list. I'll put that link in too.
I convinced
Have they shipped yet?
Yeah, so I convinced a coworker to buy one. And he printed off a Benchy as his first print and brought it in, and it looked awesome. He had it set up within like an hour and a half.
I mean, that's like the killer use case, and I for the e-NABLE
Yeah.
community too. Like, I think we're on the edge of like modding and comfortable and like okay with a machine that you can get the job done that you need, but doesn't have like this like 99% uptime. Some of these new machines coming out are like that 1 hour, hour and a half setup, and you get just beautiful prints that you couldn't get out of the printers 5 years ago. And I care a lot about software too. Do you know what slicer they're running?
I convinced him to use Orca Slicer.
Yeah, he's running Orca with a custom profile, or do they have one?
I think they have one.
Yeah. Well, again for the price point, that Century Carbon with the enclosure for $300, that's really hard to beat.
Yeah. I thought about all right, I talked it over with the boss with my wife about buying a couple of those and getting them all set up and reliable and then leasing them out to
A great idea.
small manufacturing companies.
Yep.
Had the low cost, you could I think there's opportunity there for a business idea, but I don't
Totally.
know if I have time to take care of it.
I think about the same thing in the context of a campus about like loaner machines, like machines I could put on a cart and wheel into a classroom or drop off at a like research lab or in a faculty's office. Like maybe the semester before they're doing it in a class, or like as a part of their research so that they don't have to walk over to a core facility. They can just like knock stuff off all day. And that's a really cool use case for an enclosed printer, like check out from the library, like you check out a book, or like they loan laptops, they loan chargers. We see more and more libraries like loaning like a power drill. And we did this back in the day. We loaned the first ones we did were the monoprice EAPS, the IIP printers. They were little tiny printers that were like around $200. I'm trying something this fall with a couple bamboo minis because again they're so turnkey. We can onboard people really quick. If you're used to Prusa Slicer, the bamboo slicer is the same thing. But these Century Carbons are about the same price point with an enclosure, which is really appealing. Might have to get one of these just to try it out. I know our students are always sending us all these new links to try out because we got a lot of 3D printer enthusiasts. And this one has been a top list. But the Venture XL I hadn't seen. That's very cool. What other big printers are you looking at these days?
I don't think anything really all that big. There was another one. Shoot, what was it called?
We have a Gigabot that's been awesome when it's working, but when it goes out of calibration or we have to fix it, it's been a little difficult to stand back up. I think the architecture is really smart on those machines. A great engineering team. They've been great to work with. But first principles, just when you get such a large gantry, or when something breaks off, it's like a lot to repair.
So this is the other one I was considering trying to, because we're at capacity here at work. I'm printing as much as I can. I try to time it so I can swap out the build plate at the end of the day, and it goes until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I come in the morning
Cool.
and swap it. So we're looking at adding a second, budget is open, $10,000 or less is kind of their guidance. So I was looking at the Pantheon HS Pro. So this is
Cool.
I think it's a 400 by 400, but it has
Wow.
linear rails and ball screws.
Oh, I love that. It's also got a really nice website. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, these things are heavy, heavy duty.
Yep. Oh yeah, and look at
Yeah,
their print time examples are all with super performance materials.
yeah, their CEO or whatever he is, founder, designed and 3D printed this mini bike, and so that's been his sales
That's
tactic
cool.
is driving around and taking it off jumps and stuff like that.
That's cool. Wow. And the chamber can get to 145C. That's
Yeah.
impressive. Or the bed temp, and the chamber is 140 Fahrenheit. That's still like a super hot setup. What does the nozzle get to here? 500C. Very nice.
So I'm hoping to get one of these soon.
And
We'll see
their
though.
prices, contact us.
Yeah, I think
I'll
so.
fill it out. That's one where we would probably pursue a grant or a partnership.
Yeah, so it looks like Matter Hackers has it listed at 9,999. So
Yep.
$10,000.
Cool. And Tom, I hope this is interesting for you to hear us talking through the latest gear that we're thinking about.
It really is. Prior to retiring, I was really into the videos and watching all the new technology. But I just been so busy here these past few months that I haven't. So hearing you guys, it's cool to hear about some of the new printers out there and affordable. I'm Bamboo Labs hog right now. I got that H2D that
Oh, the best.
yeah, been playing around with that. Really like it. The multi-filaments. I know they're still trying to work out some kinks. You can't please everybody, but this is a great forum for this. I did have one question, Ian. One recommendation you made for me is back in the day, a few months ago, was hey, print out a hand for yourself.
Yeah,
So you can get a feel for the physics of it and what you're capable to do.
totally.
I've been working on that, but it looks like a Hulk hand, so I got a big hand.
Yeah.
Do you recommend I think I might have done the Phoenix 2 for that. The
Yeah.
Phoenix 2 or Phoenix 3 for doing your own?
For doing your own, I like the 2 because the basic difference that matters for this is the palm. So the 3 has the palm integrated in the central handprint where it has the
Right.
bottom, and you're supposed to thermoform it for the upper limb difference. The
Right.
V2, you screw in a plate. So the plate is detachable, and they have like a little bar you can put in there that if you have no upper limb difference is a little easier to grab onto.
That's great. I probably need to look at that one then.
And
Okay.
I think it's interchangeable. So you could also just print the new central palm without that base plate. So you have an easier way to grab it.
Okay. And has your students or yourself worked on putting in like screws versus those plastic pins and that, or?
Oh yeah.
If-
So we had moved to a different platform. So I think the problem with the Phoenix hands is the hardware, right? The printed hardware. And that's also the benefit. The benefit is it scales up. And I think
Right.
it's a great way to learn the architecture without having to like source different screws as you change scales. I also
Right.
recommend everybody print at 150% or bigger to start, because a 100% scale is like a very tight tolerance to get everything to work.
Right.
And that way then your screws scale with your scale change rather than having to find all new hardware.
Okay. Gotcha. And then for start producing these actually to give to people.
Then we have always moved to things like the Huawei arm, or I actually still like the original Cyborg Beast if we're going to start with a platform and modify it, because the hardware attachments are so solid.
Gotcha.
And it's like you put in a traditional nut and bolt with some washers, but if you print and we move away from PLA, we do a lot of PETG when we've actually produced them for people, or we'll do nylon. And one of the other things we like to do, or push our students to do, is break test other parts to see what the failure state is.
Gotcha.
So that you don't get like PLA in particular, you get like a very jagged, pointy edge when it snaps, where PETG tends to bend a little more, and the break isn't as rigid. Nylon is similar. Like you'll actually get like delamination when it falls apart.
Gotcha.
So thinking about like the worst
yeah.
thing is if someone falls on it, you don't want to create something that could cut them.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that helps a lot. And I know that Uganda project too, they were working on like just like a 2-digit version.
Yeah,
because that's what they're trying to be the most.
totally.
Yeah. And we lived in Burundi for 3 years, so being able to purchase anything, it's extremely limited. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I think we talked about this too. Like, I think the best thing to do is like train a community in how to fabricate their own stuff.
Right.
And now that these machines are getting so turnkey and so high throughput and with enclosures and low cost, I think that's more accessible now than it's ever been.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I'm hoping to kind of get back into it. Jonathan, you're a lot of very helpful, a lot of information a few months ago when I was on here again. But I'm hoping to get a little more plugged in. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And if you have any other questions you want to ask, I'm always open.
Thank you.
The other thing that we've heard a lot from recipients is there's many different use cases where people want. But sometimes, like I'm very much like in the engineering side of the house where like we want something that performs and moves and has grip and can do tasks, the occupational therapy side. But one of the major use cases is a hand that looks like a normal hand. And that's sort of the other side of the R&D is something more like closer to the kinetic hand. Or like something that doesn't look like the cyborg beast, like this like futuristic printed thing. Sometimes that's cool and kids like want to show off the colors, but sometimes people just want a hand that no one notices that looks like a normal appendage.
And you said that the kinetic looks a little more.
Yeah, the kinetic look, it has less grip strength, but you could slip a glove over it. I think in the right setup, it would be harder to tell that it's a fabrication.
Okay.
And I think the other thing that Kinetic Hand does better than all the other ones is the documentation is unbelievable. It's got like the best written documentation in the community.
Good information. Is it still an issue where, many people can print hands and or devices, but is the follow-up, is that still kind of an issue?
Yeah, I think finding recipients and then getting their feedback is the big challenge. Although there's been on the hub, I've been reading some of these, there's like more international groups, like with lots of people that are in need who have found their way to the hub. I think in the last year or two, it's definitely ticking up. And they're in pockets.
Yeah, yeah. And then the last town hall I was on, it was a couple months ago, they were talked about NIS, NHS,
NIH, the National Institute for Health, yeah.
Yes, and the website there, is that becoming the primary website to go to? Because I saw a lot of the information.
So we're trying to make it all funnel through their 3D print exchange. And that was the thing that my students were working on, but we could, if you ever want to help out, we could always use some help. I'll put the link there. It's 3d.nih.gov/collections/prosthetics.
Okay.
So that launched in the spring. It's updated. It's got basically everything we could find on the hub is moved over. Now one of our students has graduated and is doing some volunteer work on the collections. Got a few people keeping an eye on it. But if you wanted to help organize things, there's new stuff every day to put up. There's better hierarchy and information design we could do.
Okay.
I know the gripper hand just got put up there.
Awesome. I'll do some research on this, and maybe I'll talk to you some more about that.
Yeah, definitely a thing that could use more attention. And then ultimately, I know talking to John and Jeremy, like down the road, the goal would be to broaden this to open source assistive tech or something, assistive devices. And then prostheses could be like underneath that hierarchy.
Gotcha.
And partially we started here because there's just so much. Like there's so much aggregated in the hub, and it's sort of hard to navigate. So the idea was we could do better information design and use this sort of as the mouth of the funnel.
Cool. It sounds exciting. Do you have your students help out each class? Is it a semester system or quarters or?
Yeah, so we're a semester system. And I think the class using this stuff the most is that intro to design methodology class that makes hands and about open source hardware and assistive tech. But then I separately had an intern team and a board fellow working on this website. So this website was a bunch of students. So like the project manager was getting credits, like 2 credits for a course. And then there were a couple of students who were paid from one of the Lumio grants to build this out. And they finished, and we don't have a current team. We had another team that was looking to redesign a hand using some computer iterated design tools, like some of these like AI drawing tools to like find patterns in the designs.
Right.
But they have not been funded. They were just exploring it.
Sorry, I'm writing notes. It's all interesting stuff.
Yeah, like I think it'd be really cool. As I think on a 10-year horizon, we will have a way to do computer iterated design, especially with such a large library like this. About like, actually, I want to take the kinetic hand that's great, and I want to add the Cyborg Beasts hardware mounts for each finger knuckle, right? Like that would be something that eventually we could have built into like a customizer, like the Thingiverse customizers. And right now that's, dozens of hours of CAD for a human.
Right.
We've been having a lot of luck when we have to modify one of these. So we're like a Fusion 360 shop, mainly because of the education resources. We do a little bit of SolidWorks, a little bit of Onshape, but pretty much teach in Fusion because of the licensing for education. But we like parametric solid modeling. And most of the e-NABLE designs are exported meshes. We don't get a lot of a step file if we're lucky, and rarely like a parametric design file. So when we've been modifying these, we mainly bring them into Rhino. And then we can do like the NURB style, like we can drape over the meshes. And that's been how we kind of cut and paste and hack these together. You could use Blender, which is again, an open source educational like free tool, but we like Rhino because of all of the like Grasshopper ecosystem, the ability to quickly remix something, and the licenses aren't that much.
Right.
Cool. More and more our students are like showing up with a Rhino license from high school, and and then they know how to do that workflow, and it's been really cool to see what we can. So one of the use cases was, when you're building the kinetic hand, there's a step where they want you to have like nearly boiling water to do the thermoforming, where you like put the hand in water to form a couple of the pieces.
My first time I did that, I was a little nervous, but it worked. I barely scalded myself.
It's a little scary, and you can hurt yourself. And we didn't want to do that in a classroom full of like 20 students, all with like boiling water. So one of our students draped a mesh over, the cuff, the thing you use to mold the cuff.
Right.
They draped a mesh over that in Rhino in like 5 minutes, and then printed like a negative of it that we can then use our soldering reflow irons, like the heat gun, and we printed it in like 85% infill PETG, like a block. And then we can place the flat print for the cuff on it, and then use a soldering reflow iron and then smush it in and get a much more uniform radius with a lot less burn hazard.
Right. That's awesome.
But I need to just release that. I need to post that on the hub. We haven't actually released that file. But I've got the jig, and it's been super helpful.
That's cool. Neat. I'm picturing it because I remember doing the first time with the boiling water. I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes.
It's a little sketchy. Yeah, it works. Yeah. Totally works. And like once you do it a few times, you can feel comfortable. But it's not a thing I want to do in like a live studio audience full of people,
with a bunch of students. Yeah, right.
So when you jump back into it, you're gonna finish fitting a kinetic hand. That would be your next e-NABLE project.
That's the plan, yeah. And then try to get
Cool.
the badge for it, make sure I've done it right. Just go through the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah, fitting a Phoenix, I think, is a great way to understand the challenges.
Right. But like you're saying, go to the kinetic, um, or the Phoenix 2
The
to,
Phoenix 2, I think, for the mechanical start, kinetic for the optics, but then something with solid hardware once you're working directly with the client, I would recommend.
yeah. And the solid hardware, would that be like with the kinetic or something else? What was the other one?
I think that the Kwawu has some very solid hardware. The original, the Cyborg Beast, I think, is still cool.
That was, I was trying to think of the cyborg. Yeah.
Tested models. Let's see, what's met testing? Kwawu Arm 3 or the Kwawu Gripper.
Okay, cool.
And then I would recommend we should check in again with Dr. Rick, see what he's been building. I bet he has strong opinions. And any of these can be adapted. Like you could change the whole shape to find some solid hardware.
Right. That's great. And plus this forum, be able to talk to you and Jonathan and Sarah, get a better understanding. It's very helpful.
Yeah, I think the Raptor is another one that takes solid hardware, maybe. I'm looking through the repository here. I know, Jonathan, what do you like for solid hardware?
I guess I've never really had a problem with printed hardware, so I've never really given it a second thought.
I guess once you get good fittage and you move to nylon, that's totally good too.
Yeah, I printed off a hand in ABS for a local guy. I've been kind of waiting for some feedback on it.
I guess that's a really good point, Tom, not to steer you wrong, but once you move to a performance material, I think you don't have to worry as much.
Yeah, and I've focused on PETG primarily,
Yep.
just from early discussions about the strength and
Yeah, totally.
breakage. But the nylon, I've done ABS, I've done TPU, I've not done nylon yet. But I think that H2D is supposed to be able to handle it pretty well.
Yep.
And then is that nylon one of the ones you got to worry about, ventilation?
It's super hydroscopic, like much faster than PLA. So either you got to keep it boxed up or use it pretty quick after you open it, or if you have a dehydrator.
I do. Okay.
I think they're all pretty nasty to breathe in, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking about the performance of the material, but the exposure to humans is a big part too.
Yeah.
Right.
I use like a carbon air filter inside the enclosure. I'm sure the H2D has something like that you could print out and make as well.
Right. Because I put one into the X1, aftermarket. But yeah, I imagine there's something out there for the H2D as well. Cool. Well, I appreciate all the information. I always enjoy talking to you guys.
Super fun. I could geek out about this stuff all day.
Yeah, same here. My whole family, like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm trying to get into this and trying to give back a little bit. So yeah, it's gonna be a great opportunity. Once I can get I got the fence done. The hot water tank was today, so I'm hopeful. Just need to do a little bit better on the time management. Slice out some hours.
Yep, that's super cool. Anything else on anyone's minds? I bet that we don't have any educators here because of the time of the year. I know most schools are starting this week or next week. And I had my first class last night. Like it's definitely like people are heads down.
I did
So-
have
Yeah, go ahead.
I did have somebody ask on the hub about supports inside the tendon channels of a Phoenix V3.
Oh yeah.
I gave the recommendation not to use supports,
Don't do it.
but I told them that if they want to use supports, here, I'll try to share my screen in a second.
Do you have a hack?
Yeah.
Cool. Always love that.
Okay, you have permission. You should be able to share.
You guys see it okay?
Loading. Yes. Okay. See it in your slicer.
Okay,
I see
so
it.
here's a palm. I'll just okay, everything is black, I guess. Um so I recommended looking into the support painting.
Yeah.
So I'll try to maybe I'll make a link to this, but you should be able to put supports just on certain
Right.
surfaces. So
Yeah.
if you
Pick
do
where
something
they'll
like
be.
this,
Yep. Totally. That's great.
yeah. So I don't know if you go to slice it.
Yeah. I think the advice not to add supports is from when it used to have to like, if unless you're using Simplify 3D, you might have support blockers. But yeah, look at that. Oh, it still did it.
Yeah, so it
My
probably
worst
have it on
injury
auto.
in 3D printing was from removing those exact supports.
Yeah, one of my first hands, I stabbed myself right in the
Yep.
freaking
I put
meat
a
of my hand.
screwdriver, I was pushing on it with a screwdriver and I succeeded.
Yeah, there
It's
you
a
go.
shame how
So
soft skin is, right?
Yeah.
The
Oh,
I
there we
do
go. That looks great.
yeah, I had the same issues, and so I just use a whole lot of that medical sticky, foam padding
Yep.
for that top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Just pat it out.
yeah,
I think the official guide says to scrape it a little and then put in the padding.
That looks good though.
Yeah, that actually looks, this is like the power of the modern software, right? Our advice changes. I think this is now definitely, Jonathan, that's the best practice these days.
yeah. So
And
maybe I can make this a clip and I'll post it if anybody
Yes.
has the same question.
So then this is the part. So now we need to hire some students to go through and like put this into the instructions of assembly as a note.
Yeah.
Like it's the problem is we're not on like Git or something where you can append it. They're all sort of like fixed state instructions.
right. And Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bamboo Slicer is licensed through Prusa, right? So if I study some of the Prusa stuff, it should translate.
It's not
Yeah.
licensed, but it is forked.
Yeah, they're all kind of based on the same thing nowadays. All the popular slicers are. So I would think that they have a very similar, support painting is what they call it here. So I'm sure they have a similar thing on the other slicers.
I think they have support blockers, but they might have added painters in an update in the last 6 months that I haven't seen. I'm more familiar with the blockers, but you could do the same thing by like lowering a blocker into the channels.
Yeah. There's some way you can do that in here too, but I don't think I've ever tried to mess with it.
The interface is getting thinner. Like those buttons that are just an icon, like it doesn't, right? The painter is not somewhere else in a drop down or in a menu. It's an icon that you have to hover over or like know how to use.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is getting a little more like they do more of the Swiss Army knives, but the interface is a little more opaque if you don't know the tool is there. That's a really the trajectory preview looked excellent. Really cool hack. Anything else on people's minds? I'm going to go shopping for this Venture XL and HS Pro. I don't think we have the budget right now, but always good to have on our radar. And personally, for a home machine, for just getting started in e-NABLE or running stuff, I think that Centauri Carbon is just like such a good value. I don't know if there's a better value right now with the chamber and everything.
Yeah,
And what the
especially
chamber
for
would
the
get you, you could get into ABS and make really good hardware right away.
absolutely. You know, I guess the only drawback I see is if you're just getting into e-NABLE, looking at buying a new machine, if you're totally unfamiliar, the Centauri Carbon is a great starting step, but it is a little too small to print the four-arm piece in
Yeah.
one print for the arm designs.
Yeah.
So there are some hacks you can do to split it apart and fix them together, but it is a little too small to print it in one piece.
Yeah, total same thing with the Bamboo A1, the Bamboo X1, the Bamboo P1S. They're all 256, right? 256 millimeter.
Yeah.
And then you really need, like, what do we need? 300 millimeter or more? Will that get us there?
Yeah, I think it's about 315 is
Just over 300. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're talking like more like a K2 plus for like a modern machine, which gets you to 350 by 350 by 350, which you could fit that 315 within. Or the H1D.
If I have a question for you guys, is your emails up? Is it up on the website?
Yeah, I'll put mine here too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always happy to chat on email, share resources, or set up a Zoom and look at a machine or something.
Great. Sorry,
Hey,
going back and forth on Zoom, I was having a hard time finding where I could check the chat and then get back here to
oh
be
yeah,
able to talk. Well, I appreciate you guys' time today. This is very helpful.
definitely. Always great to chat. And we'll be back. Let's see. The next new member education meeting is on the 25th,
Great.
September 25th.
I'll try to do a little printing and maybe work on that hand again because I like to know what its
Cool.
capabilities are.
Yeah, that's 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
Things on my radar between now and then. I still got a few hands I'm trying to distribute. I know there's a few people I got to follow up with on the hub who maybe we can mail some to. If anyone's watching this, reach out on the hub and we could try to get you something boxed up and shipped. And again, there's a Phoenix V3 from a student project that's either a good touchstone for a group getting started to have like a built one to look at or like show a customer what you could make. Or if there's a recipient that just wants 150% scale, like stock one, we've still got a few of those available. And we can wrap a minute or two early unless anyone else has a topic they'd like to discuss. And we'll be back in, what's that, 4 weeks?
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for guiding us as always.
Thank you all. And Sarah, thank you for sending out the reminder email. That really helped. We were flying back from a trip for a wedding, and that kind of boosted me to get on today. So thank you.
Well, good. I'm so glad that you came. Um, uh, and I have all of the links to the printers discussed on the hub calendar
Cool.
underneath the today's event. So if you need to go back to the links, they're all there.
Thank you. It's super helpful.
I'm gonna stop the live stream now. Thank you
Excellent.
so much, everyone.